Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Paddock Talk podcast channel. Today, we're bringing you our reaction of the brand new Alfa Romeo C41 launch in Warsaw earlier on today. They've gone for a slightly different livery. They've sort of flipped the red and white, and in my personal opinion, I think this looks great. This is the best looking livery we've had on the grid this year so far. I just think it looks really good. It's much more aggressive as well with that skinnier nose, and they've got rid of a lot of the sort of dark bluey black stuff on the nose as well. I didn't really like that, and I just think it looks great. What about you guys?
Yeah, I think obviously with Alfa Romeo, ever since they've joined the grid in 2018, I don't think they've ever made a bad livery. And although the current livery they had beforehand was quite nice, I think obviously changing it up a bit is good for the sport, really. I think I love the red side pods, the way they've just flipped the colours as you've said before. I think it's just a really nice livery, and it's probably going to be one of the nicest looking cars on the grid. Overall, I'm really happy.
I think it's probably going to be a unanimous thing here of all of us. But this livery just looks stunning. It's probably the best livery Alfa Romeo have had in their short period back in F1. I personally love the not just the livery. I personally just like the engine cover. The way it's just a little bit more of a hump to it. It just looks a lot more I say classical, which is like what the Alfa Romeo livery is. It just reminds me of like they're trying to pay homage back to the sort of their start. The incorporation of the actual badge is something they've been doing a lot, and I think flipping the colours around, including the clover on the actual badge this time, is a very good addition. And I think this is probably livery of the season.
Well, yeah, after the two underwhelming liveries we've had to date so far with AlphaTauri and McLaren, it was really nice to see and really refreshing to see Alfa Romeo drop this livery this morning. Everything about it is absolutely perfect. I really like their 2019, 2020 liveries. Looking back, the 2018 livery was actually quite plain, but in 2019 onwards, they've stepped it up, and this is just another one to add to the collection. But I think that's all on the car. What do you guys make of the race suits?
I also think they look really clean. Alfa Romeo, as you say, the last was it 3 years? They go for that very clean white and the slightly darker red. And again, I think they look really nice. They've got that stripe on the leg as well with the driver names on as well, which looks really good. And as well, obviously this applies to the car as well, but they've got a lot of sponsors on them, which is obviously good for the team to fill the cars with sponsors. Although no Rich Energy yet, which is maybe they're going to be there in the future, or maybe they are going for another team. We'll have to wait and see for that one. But yeah, I think the race suits look great.
I'm a really big fan of these race suits, to be honest. I think they're just clean and classy, really, which is what Alfa Romeo is as a whole, as a brand. I think as well, obviously the badge, obviously the crest of Alfa Romeo right in the centre, it just blends in so well, just so nice. So I think overall, I think Alfa Romeo have got a really nice package for a livery and a race suit.
Yeah, I just cannot disagree. You know, the whole visual appearance of the race suit just suits the actual car, which you don't get sometimes. You look at things like the McLaren race suits; they seem like they've incorporated the sponsors a bit like too much like patches. But then you look at the Alfa Romeo one; it just looks like it's been cared for and been sort of like designed as its own standalone product. It's just a really nice suit. It just complements the car beautifully.
Be the odd one out here and go against the grain. I'm not a fan of the race suits. Well, this is in comparison to, I'm kind of basing my comparison on last year's design. The main thing I don't like about them is that red stripe going down from like the hip to the leg. It just looks out of place. Last year, if you recall, they had the names of the drivers on the like the side of the leg, and the red would kind of make up the rest of that side. Whereas now they've just got the name still going down the side, but they've just got the red line just in the middle of nowhere. I don't think that works as well. Like, it's still a classy design, and I fully agree with Nat. Actually, made a good point there that not all the time does the race suit integrate well into the car, but Alfa Romeo have done that. But I'm not a huge fan. I much prefer last year's design personally.
And now, like we've done with all of our previous reaction videos, and we're going to be continuing to do it, we're going to hand over now to Ryan for his technical analysis of the Alfa Romeo C41.
Alfa Romeo have now revealed the C41 to the world, and what we're going to do now is have a look at some of the technical details on the new car. The front wing of the Alfa Romeo is rather interesting. In this image I've highlighted the general shape in red, and what we can see is a sort of blend between the wide nose and the narrow nose designs. The Alfa nose doesn't have a step into the narrow section as seen on the nose cones of the Mercedes Racing Point and McLarens of recent years, but continues to have a wider section until the very tip. However, where the Alfa nose now differs from the traditional wide nose design is how Alfa Romeo have integrated the cape into the design and encourages the air around the nose cone rather than underneath it. Another interesting aspect of the C41 is how they've now adopted the high mounted suspension as shown in yellow. On the C41 front wing, we can also see the addition of two small turning vanes on the footplate, and these will be used to generate an outwash around the front tyre, increasing aerodynamic efficiency. Looking at the side of the car, we can see that the rake angle appears to be greater than what we've seen on the McLaren and Alfa Tauri. And I've again shown the bodywork shape using red and yellow lines. The geometry of the bodywork is rather interesting as Alfa have been able to compact everything fairly low. However, we have to see these sort of bulges at the rear of the car where they've had to push the bodywork out in order to make room for the powertrain. Annoyingly, we haven't seen any footage of the top view of the car yet, and so we aren't able to tell how well they've been able to implement the Coke bottle shape. Briefly looking at the barge boards, the C41 have these winglets on either side. This doesn't have a significant effect on performance, but I thought it was unusual to see this sort of element placed there. Looking at the rear of the car, we can see more changes to the diffuser due to the new regulations. In the region highlighted yellow, we would normally have seen small sections of carbon fibres known as vortex generators in previous years. These have been banned for the new year, and as a measure to reduce the overall downforce levels of the car. And although they are small pieces, they can have a large effect on the cars. They generate vortices to stop the airflow from stalling under the diffuser and increase aerodynamic stability. So now that we've seen them been banned, we might see teams that struggled with aerodynamic stability, particularly at the rear, struggle even more so with that problem in the new year if they aren't able to find a solution. And so that wraps up my analysis of the Alfa Romeo C41, and I'll now hand you back to the guys over at the Paddock Talk podcast.
So that has been our reaction and analysis of the Alfa Romeo C41, the 2021 Challenger. If you've enjoyed the video, make sure you like, subscribe, and leave a comment as well to let us know how we're doing. Still very new to the whole YouTube experience, but we're really enjoying it so far, doing these reaction videos and doing the podcast. So, yep, leave a comment, guys, and thanks very much for watching.